You may believe that happiness and positive energy belong only to the lucky few, but pause for a moment and listen carefully, because the truth you are about to hear has the power to rearrange your entire inner world and quietly rewrite the direction of your life. Every experience you call coincidence, every mood you name ordinary, and every thought you dismiss as harmless is part of a living exchange between you and the unseen intelligence that governs all things. According to the timeless wisdom echoed by Florence Scovel Shinn, life is not happening to you, it is responding to you, and the universe is not distant or indifferent, it is alert, attentive, and always answering the tone of your inner conversation. From the moment you wake until the moment you sleep, you are transmitting a signal, and that signal is formed by your expectations, your words, and the emotional color behind them. Whether you realize it or not, you are already a magnet, already broadcasting, already shaping outcomes, and the question is never whether manifestation is working, but what exactly it is being asked to deliver. Many people move through their days believing that circumstances create feelings, yet the ancient law of positive energy reveals the opposite order, showing that feelings create circumstances with remarkable precision. When you repeatedly expect disappointment, you silently invite it, and when you speak fear as if it were fact, you instruct life to mirror it back to you. This is not punishment or reward, but law, as neutral and exact as gravity, responding without judgment to the direction you set. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words are seeds and emotions are the water that brings them to life, meaning that every sentence you repeat internally is a quiet command shaping tomorrow. The universe hears not only what you say aloud, but what you habitually agree with in your heart, and it rearranges people, opportunities, and events to match that agreement. Once this is understood, the idea of positive energy becomes far more than optimism. It becomes a disciplined practice of inner alignment. To change your life, you do not fight circumstances, you change the frequency from which you meet them, knowing that the outer world must eventually conform. This is why two people can face the same situation and experience entirely different results, because each is meeting life from a different energetic level. One stands in trust and expectancy, while the other stands in worry and resistance, and the universe answers both with perfect obedience. The law of positive energy states that whatever you consistently feel to be true becomes your lived reality, not through effort, but through resonance. When your inner state shifts, unseen forces begin to reorganize with silent speed, often before you can consciously notice the change. Small moments begin to carry ease, delays dissolve without explanation, and help arrives from directions you did not plan. This is not magic, but alignment, and it begins the instant you accept that your inner broadcast matters. As Florence Scovel Shinn affirmed, you are not here to struggle against life, but to cooperate with it through faith-filled expectation. When you align your thoughts with harmony, your words with confidence, and your feelings with trust, you step onto a different channel altogether, one where life feels guided rather than forced, and supported rather than resisted. This first understanding opens a door, yet behind that door lies a deeper realization that most people never reach, and once revealed, it changes everything. What comes next will challenge assumptions and gently awaken a power long forgotten within. As you move deeper into this understanding, a subtle tension begins to form, because realizing that you are always broadcasting energy also means accepting that nothing in your life is accidental, and this is where many people quietly turn away. It feels easier to believe that circumstances arrive randomly than to accept responsibility for the frequency that invited them. Yet Florence Scovel Shinn reminded that responsibility is not blame, it is power reclaimed. When you understand that every condition is the echo of a previous inner state, you gain the ability to change the echo by changing the sound you make now. At first, this awareness may feel uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of helplessness, and illusion is often mistaken for safety. But stay with this thought, because just beyond that discomfort lies freedom. The universe does not respond to wishes alone, it responds to conviction, and conviction is formed through repeated emotional agreement with an idea. This is why fleeting positivity does little, while sustained inner alignment changes everything. Many people attempt to think positively while emotionally expecting failure, and the universe listens not to the surface thought, but to the deeper emotional truth beneath it. Florence Scovel Shinn often emphasized that faith must precede evidence, because the unseen must be accepted before it can become seen. Here is where suspense quietly enters your journey, because when you begin to shift your frequency, there is often a pause, a seeming silence where nothing appears to change. This is the moment when most people assume the law has failed, yet in truth, it is working with precision behind the scenes. The unseen realm rearranges first, and only later does the visible world follow, and during this interval, doubt whispers louder than ever. Old patterns attempt to reclaim their place, familiar worries resurface, and circumstances may even appear to worsen, creating the illusion that alignment has backfired. But this stage is not a setback, it is a test of consistency, asking whether you will trust the law or retreat into habit. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that persistence in faith is the bridge between intention and manifestation, and without crossing it, many abandon their own miracle. During this quiet suspension, your inner dialogue becomes critical, because whatever you agree with now will determine what solidifies next. If you return to fear, you cancel the new broadcast, but if you remain anchored in trust, the universe continues its unseen work. This is why emotional discipline matters more than temporary inspiration, because the universe responds to what you sustain, not what you sample. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, shifts begin to occur. A chance meeting, an unexpected message, a solution appearing without struggle. Yet these are often dismissed as coincidence by those who do not recognize energetic law. In reality, these are confirmations, gentle signals that alignment is taking hold. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that when you are on the right frequency, doors open without force, and what belongs to you arrives without pursuit. The suspense lies in not knowing how or when, but knowing with certainty that the response is inevitable. This waiting period refines faith, transforming it from hopeful thinking into embodied knowing. When you reach this state, urgency dissolves, desperation fades, and a calm expectancy replaces striving. You begin to feel supported by life itself, as if an unseen current is carrying you forward. Yet this is not the end, because there is a deeper shift still to come, one that transforms not only outcomes, but your entire way of being, and understanding this final layer changes the way you move through the world forever. At this stage of awareness, something profound begins to happen within you, something quieter than excitement, yet stronger than hope, because your relationship with life itself starts to change. You no longer feel the need to constantly prove, chase, or force outcomes, since you are learning to trust the invisible mechanics that have always been at work. Florence Scovel Shinn described this as entering the flow of divine order, where effort gives way to alignment and struggle is replaced by cooperation. You start to notice that when your inner state is calm and assured, life reflects that calm back to you through smoother interactions and unexpected ease. This is not because problems vanish entirely, but because you meet them from a higher frequency, one that dissolves resistance before it hardens into conflict. Positive energy at this level is no longer something you try to generate. It becomes something you embody, expressed naturally through your reactions, your patience, and your quiet confidence. Yet here lies another hidden challenge, because as your frequency rises, old emotional habits begin to surface one last time, seeking recognition before release. Past fears, unresolved doubts, and lingering scarcity beliefs may appear unexpectedly, not to sabotage you, but to be seen and dissolved in awareness. Many mistake this resurgence as regression, but Florence Scovel Shinn would remind that what comes up, to go out, and nothing surfaces unless it is ready to be healed. The universe, in its precision, brings these patterns forward so you can consciously choose differently, affirming a new identity aligned with abundance and peace. This is where affirmations gain real power, not as mechanical repetition, but as declarations spoken from emotional agreement. When you affirm harmony while feeling harmony, you are no longer asking, you are stating fact, and the universe responds accordingly. Simple statements repeated with calm certainty begin to rewire inner expectations, gently shifting what you assume is possible. Over time, you notice that your reactions soften, your thoughts become less urgent, and your emotional baseline rises without effort. This inner elevation quietly influences everyone and everything around you, because energy is contagious, and coherence invites coherence. People respond differently to you, opportunities feel less strained, and even delays carry a sense of purpose rather than frustration. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that when you walk in alignment, you become a channel for good, and goodness moves through you into the world. Still, a final layer of suspense remains, because true mastery of positive energy is revealed not in moments of ease, but in moments of uncertainty. Life will occasionally present situations that seem to contradict your new frequency, testing whether your alignment is conditional or rooted. In these moments, the temptation is to react as before, to worry, to doubt, or to defend. Yet this is precisely where transformation completes itself. When you choose trust instead of fear in the face of uncertainty, you anchor your frequency at a new level permanently. The universe observes not what you say during comfort, but what you embody during challenge, and it adjusts its response accordingly. Each time you remain steady, you strengthen an invisible foundation that supports future manifestations. Gradually, you realize that positive energy is not about avoiding darkness, but about carrying light through it without losing yourself. This realization brings a deep sense of peace, because you no longer fear circumstances, knowing that nothing external has power over your inner broadcast. You move with quiet assurance, aware that life is always listening, always responding, and always ready to meet you at the level you consistently choose. With this understanding integrated, you stand on the edge of a final realization, one that transforms alignment into a way of life rather than a practice. Now the final realization settles gently yet firmly within you. And it is this understanding that turns conscious alignment into a lifelong state rather than a temporary effort. You recognize that positive energy is not something you switch on when life feels easy and abandon when challenges appear, but a steady frequency you maintain because it defines who you are. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that when truth is accepted, it no longer requires struggle, and in this acceptance, you stop negotiating with fear altogether. You understand that the universe does not test you to withhold blessings, but to confirm your readiness to receive them without resistance. At this level, your inner world becomes your sanctuary, a place of deliberate thought, chosen feeling, and spoken confidence. You become attentive to the tone of your words, knowing they are instructions, and mindful of your emotions, knowing they are magnets. Life begins to feel responsive rather than random, as if invisible hands are clearing paths just ahead of your steps. What once felt like effort now feels like flow, and what once felt uncertain now carries quiet assurance. This does not mean every day is perfect, but it means every day is purposeful, guided by an inner compass you trust. You no longer ask whether the universe is listening, because experience has answered that question repeatedly. Instead, you ask only whether your broadcast is aligned with what you choose to receive. Small daily actions become sacred because you understand their cumulative power to maintain frequency. Gratitude stabilizes your energy, kindness amplifies it, and trust protects it from collapse. Florence Scovel Shinn believed that gratitude is the highest form of faith because it assumes fulfillment before evidence appears. As this becomes natural to you, worry loses its grip, replaced by an inner agreement that things are unfolding in right order. You begin to notice that abundance is not only material, but emotional, relational, and spiritual, appearing as peace, clarity, and meaningful connection. Others may sense something different about you, a calm presence, a grounded confidence, a lightness that does not depend on circumstance. This is not something you advertise, it is something you radiate, and those who are ready are drawn to it without explanation. You realize that you are no longer chasing happiness, because happiness has become a byproduct of alignment. Even when answers are delayed, you remain steady, because delay no longer threatens your faith. The universe responds to this steadiness with precision, delivering outcomes that feel natural rather than forced. Looking back, you see how every shift began internally, and how each internal change shaped the path ahead. This awareness brings humility rather than pride, because you understand that you are not controlling life, but cooperating with a greater order. In this cooperation, fear dissolves, replaced by a sense of partnership with the unseen. You move forward, knowing that your frequency today is creating your reality tomorrow, and that this process is always active, always faithful, always exact. With this knowledge integrated, you stand grounded, open, and receptive, ready to live as a conscious participant rather than a passive observer. The universe is no longer something you hope will be kind to you. It is something you actively converse with through thought, word, and feeling. And in this conversation, you choose clarity over confusion, trust over fear, and alignment over struggle, knowing that what you consistently embody must inevitably return to you in form. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.